Which class of animals is the only one with feathers? So we have different animals you see almost every time of the year they fly around and they have feathers. Which animals can you think of that possesses these characteristics? Yeah, without any reasonable doubt, the answer is aves. So aves are birds of different kinds. You have some aves that do fly, or have some that don't fly, but they have feathers. For example, like an ostrich. So ostrich is a bird. They don't fly. They move very fast, but you can't say because they're not flying that that's the reason why they're not birds. No, they lay eggs like all other birds. They have wings like all other birds, so that makes ostrich a bird. So animals that have feathers are known as the aves. They belong to the class known as aves, which consists of different kind of birds. All right. So what are birds? So the word aves come from the Latin word avis, meaning bird, and aves they are warm-blooded vertebrates. And don't forget, vertebrates and animals that have backbone, and um, and the body is covered with feathers. And most especially, these feathers are adapted for flight. But apart from flight, they also help the birds for a lot of things. For example, the feathers can make them to be warm and help them to regulate the internal temperature. Okay, so these organisms they are very fascinating and are very important. Okay, so we have different birds, we have different kind of birds. For example, if we go to poultry, we have fowls, all birds, all right? They have wings, they have feathers all over that help them to be able to survive. Okay, so example of aves, we have different example. So we have your eagle, then you have your hen, yeah, or eat hen, eat fowls. Also have doves, have ostrich, also have penguin. Okay, so they all come in different form, but they have similar characteristics. Okay, so where can you find the species? So aves, you can find them everywhere. You can find them on grasslands. You can find them in water bodies, and you can also find them in the Arctic, in very cold regions. For example, like a penguin. Okay, so the different aves that's adapted to different habitats, and organisms are being adapted to habitats based on their features. They have a feature that can make them to be able to survive. Sometimes it's based they undergo what they call seasonal migration. For example, that birds that cannot stay in the areas that is very cold. What happen when the weather becomes very cold? They migrate from that region to another region that is warmer at that point in time. So when they get to that region and that region is becoming cold, they'll leave that region and migrate back to where they're coming from because that place is now becoming warm. So how we call seasonal migration. That's why, for example, at the particular season, you can see a particular kind of bird in a place. Then suddenly, when the weather changes, you won't see some species. But the following year, at that particular time, you see them returning back to that habitat. That's what we call seasonal migration of birds. That's one fascinating thing about them. So the body covering, so feathers cover the body, providing insulation and enabling flight. Insulation means that to make them warm, and flight it makes them to be able to fly from one place to another to look for food. Okay, so you can see they have a lot of feathers of different kind. These what is this called again? What name was this bird? Ah, they have a lot of feather. Um, in the comment section, remind me of this bird. This bird that have lots of when they spread up the wings and they have lots of colors. I forgot the name. Ah, so terrible. In the comment section, tell me the name of this bird. The spread up, the spread of the wings, and they just displayed. It is kind of like this spread of the wings is kind of like a courtship behavior to show that yeah, I'm very beautiful, I'm handsome. Come on, no, it's mate, and they used to create mate. I forgot the name of this bird. Okay, let's move along. All right. Feather types. So how different feather types. So we have feather types for flight, and also have some feather types for creating warmth. Understand? So flight feathers are found in wings, while soft down feathers provide warmth. So the soft ones beneath are very close to the body. They provide warmth, while the bigger ones is used for flight. Okay, then body temperature. So bears are homeothermic because why? They are warm-blooded animals. So use the word homothermic for warm-blooded animals. Animals are cold-blooded animals like a fish that are found in the water that are poikilothermic. Or homeothermic is for warm-blooded animals. Okay, and the body temperature stay constant because if they start experiencing cold, they'll die because they need to become warm. Okay, so the next thing. Oh yeah, that bird that has. I just remember that I showed you that have big wings. That have it's called peacock. Yeah, they are peacock. It's peacock. Yeah. So skeletons they have bones. The bones are light and hollow, and this helps in reducing the body weight for flight. So they don't have this very hard bone that actually prevent them from flying. So the bone is light and hollow, so they can easily fly from one place to another. Yeah, of course. So this is how the bones look like. Okay, light and hollow. All right, so they can fly properly from different place to another. Okay, so breathing, yeah, they breathe through the lungs, and this lungs is connected to air sacs. All right, and this allow for efficient exchange of what oxygen for them to be able to respire properly. All right, so it's very important for us to know that they have beak and they use the beak for feeding. Don't forget they don't have teeth, so they use the beak for feeding. They feed on grains. They feed on grains of different kinds, and some of them, some aves, they feed on worms. All right, they feed on worms also, and the beak is shaped to match the diet. All right, so the kind of beak they have actually match a diet. Some aves have a very long beak. They can go into the water and catch fish, small fish, and feed on it. Okay, so it's actually match the diet. So now we have different kind of beaks here. With this type of beak, it determines the kind of food they feed on. All right. So that is one important information about beaks. So different aves with a different big types. Okay. So that's very important to know. So for movement, wings they have wings for flight, and they have strong leg muscles which allow them for walking. For example, your ostrich hopping. You see the bird they do hop, or swimming. Some species of bird tend to swim. Okay. So you can see ostrich they walk they move very fast. They have very strong legs, and you can see some of them that flies very well. All right. So for reproduction, the reproduction is internal. So everything happens internally, and the eggs they normally lay eggs, and the eggs is very rich on calcium. And what happens? They lay the eggs on land, and they also tend to hatch the egg. So it's very important for us to understand some basic things that happen. So here, this is the male cock and this is female cock. They reproduce. After that, they lay the eggs. After the eggs pass through different level of incubation, and the egg is easily hatched. Okay, so there's a very important thing for us to know. This is what oviparous. Okay, oviparous. So organisms that normally lay eggs, hatch their eggs, and they hatch the egg pass through different level of incubation. Then it hatch and give rise to a new chick. So we call this what oviparous. Okay, so it's very important. So they undergo what we call parental care. So most birds undergo what we call parental care. They go out, look for food, and they feed the young ones. So this is very important for birds. They undergo what we call parental care. Very, very important. Okay. So some questions. Now the ostrich has feathers but cannot fly. Is it qualified as a bird? Yeah, though I've said this already before that yes, they don't have feathers, they don't have they cannot fly from one place to another. But does that mean they're birds or not? So this is a question. So the answer is yes, they are classified as birds based on feathers and the shell features, but not flying ability. They can run from one place to another, they can lay eggs, but they don't fly from one place to another. Ostriches are very big. I wonder seeing ostrich fly in the air. It looks like an aeroplane flying. You understand? So, importance of aves. So aves they help for pollination. They go from one flower to another to pollinate flowers, and they help for seed dispersal. Don't forget they feed on grains. So when they feed on the grains, they can take that grain from another place, and when that grain gets to the soil, what happens? It will germinate and help for dispersal. Okay, and this help plants to migrate to a new place, to a new environment, and establish a new environment. So help to control insect pollination and pest pollination by feeding on pests. Okay, and they also provide food and income through what? Poultry farming. So poultry farming is very common. Okay. So just a kind of quick recap just for us to understand everything we've done. So the first thing, birds have feathers for insulation on flights, and they're warm blended, known as homeothermic, which help for constant body temperature. And they also have hard shells that's laid on land, and they also chew what's called periodic care, very important. And they have hollow bones, which help for lighter body. It helps them to be lighter and it made them to be able to fly from one place to another, very important. And they have beak, and the beak has no teeth, and each beak, very important, each beak is designed for different diet shape. They shaped and designed for different diets. So whatever they feed on, that beak is designed for them to be able to feed on that thing. Okay, so thank you very much for watching the video to this point, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. For September, I'm going to teach all topics in September for the first term for each section. So that first term in biology, I'll try my possible best to make sure I teach all topics that is necessary for that time. So students can easily come to my channel to revise. In case you find anything very difficult, I'll try my possible best to try to break everything down in a way that we all understand it. Okay, so see you next time, and thank you very much for watching my video to this point.